You want to make money on MMA? LATB. You want to know who to put it in your parlay? LATB. You want to know our DraftKings stay away? LATB. So, who has the Leslie Smith underdog pick? Who was the Mexican dude and the lesbian chick? Everybody say you mean Lesbo and the Bean. Who's that out there living they dream? Lesbo and the Bean. Who's that still smoking all the green? Lesbo and the Bean. Come on y'all, let me hear you scream. Lesbo and the Bean. You wanna make money on MMA? LATB. You wanna know who to put in your parlay? LATB. You wanna know what DraftKings stay awake? LATB. So who has the Leslie Smith underdog pick? Who is the Mexican dude and the lesbian chick? Everybody say you mean Lesbo and the Bean. Who's that out there living the dream? Lesbo and the Bean. Who's that still smoking all the green? Lesbo and the Bean. Come on y'all, let me hear you scream. Lesbo and the Bean.
Welcome back to another great episode of LATB. We got UFC 220 down the pipeline. We're coming at you as early as we possibly can. 222, sorry about that.
222.
We have a nice little poster provided by the UFC themselves. Just saying, little.
We're just little dogs right now. We just get this. This is what we get. One day we'll be getting that Ariel Helwani shit.
So, with this fight card, it comes to us from Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. It's going to be a 12th card bout, but quickly, we've had some really late-breaking
we have
news here. We got to go over it. A lot has happened in the last 24, 48 hours. We have Jon Jones having his NCIS meeting. I know it's not NCIS, his CCAT or whatever. Yeah, right. I'm not stupid. I'm just saying. He ended up going on the stand. Did you end up watching any of the videos or highlights from this?
I read a lot of it. I read a lot of the transcripts from it.
How do you feel it went down? What do you feel? A lot of people are saying it's lenient. A lot of people saying it's due justice. Some ask for more, some less.
I agree with the judge all the way around because every single problem that Jones's team kind of put up was that his management led him astray. That's their whole argument. So to me, you need to get rid of your management. That's what the judge said. So you're showing up here with the same exact people and telling me you've changed things, but you're blaming it all on them?
The only hesitation I have to say with that is what the fuck does a judge know about MMA fighters and fighting?
What does he have to know? Illegal is illegal.
Was it she?
Illegal is illegal.
True.
A law is a law.
It's a good point.
And I was pissed a little, like 200,000. That's excessive. Is it just because he's famous? Like, no, he kind of messed up a whole championship fight.
Not only that, he has multiple infractions. That has to weigh somewhere.
I think they even talked about that.
Exactly. Like, he totally has
I
had
just think he's
times.
pompous, and he set himself up with, like, yes men, and I picture these slimy people around him, like slimy people with their hands in his pockets, and they've set him up that they just, yeah, John, you're the best. Yeah, John, you're doing good things. Yeah, John. He's not putting people that love him around him that are like, hey, John, this isn't good for you. He's putting people around him that are like, hey, John, let's go do a bunch of blow and fuck some hookers.
Is this not, though, the combative sports archetype? The combative sports stars archetype? I feel like this tends to be at least the highlighted movies when you see a lot of Rocky went through it himself, dare I say. He got not into training, loved partying, had nothing but yes men around him, and eventually had to go back to his roots in Russia.
Like Rocky 3.
I'm just saying in the series, it's
Rocky 4.
It's an archetype through, and we see a lot of people with tons of potential that just lose it as soon as that fame and money come. And he's kind of that, but he's such a good fighter that people keep going to bat for him.
I think the thing that he's misunderstanding is I think the people that are really successful, not that Floyd Mayweather doesn't mess around with the yaya occasionally or get drunk or whatever. Sleep with
hit a wife.
Yeah, whatever. He has his own shit for sure. But as far as I think it's more of a persona, and that's what Jon Jones isn't doing. His persona, he has no such thing as a persona. Like Bones Jones, that's the whole package. Like that's you see what you get. He's not playing a character. He's not like Connor, where I don't think Connor's walking around his house like King Connor's here. So I kind of I would let him if he were my man. I'd be like, he's here. Did you see that? He buys her so much nice stuff. He loves his D. I don't know. I kind of am so over John Jones. He's drama.
I kind of agree. Again, if he actually now, after the verdict, they're retrofitting the time out of sport to like July, so as of August.
I have a question for you, though. I actually put it out to our fans today on Twitter, but you might even know the answer. If both fighters sign off, can you have a sanctioned fight that both ones are juiced to the gills, both fighters, and they're like, okay, and do it at an Indian reservation? And if that's the case, Jones versus Lesnar, UFC. Jones versus Lesnar, please.
That would be an unbelievable fight. I would absolutely love that, but I feel like now the new way that the UFC's going as a corporate entity, they're really staying away from that kind of stuff. I feel like it might be a resin type of a fight.
Yeah.
A dream
But doesn't the
championship.
UFC own other organizations that they could just put it under the header of one of the other organizations for that fight, build a card around it?
I'll pay for that pay-per-view.
I would see it all day.
I will pay for that
And they
pay-per-view.
can kind of do it Floyd Connor style where they don't have to put anything else on the whole entire card that really matters.
Or like 3 fights.
Yeah,
and that's the whole
weak ass fights. The other one I was going to ask you about that it's all up in the air, with everything going on with Me Too and all the time's up movement, do you think it's kind of like an old school idea for ring girls? And we were talking about it when we were at the fight, and I'm a lesbian. I like a nice looking juicy girl. And I don't mean juicy like some big old blobby chick, but I like a good looking girl. I don't think any of the ring girls are cute. I'm like, they need to put more types in there or something. They're all three the same type of girl. They're all Miss 6 o'clock, straight up and straight down.
Brazil has got some top-notch
So can we have a Brazilian?
Brazil.
Can we have this like girl next door, pasty white skinny
Mix
girl?
it up.
Get a like thick chocolate princess in there. I think they mix it up. Have Elias Theodo do it. But
agree.
if a dude does it, no sweatshirt. Girls don't have logo stuff all over their bikinis where they're allowed to sell stuff. I want a meat hanger. I want full banana hammock.
Whoa.
I want full banana hammock.
Interesting. I don't know if a lot of fans would appreciate that.
We can't all be secure enough in our sexuality now to just enjoy it. I'm doing it as a joke. It's not because I'm like, oh yeah, Elias. I just feel like you want to get out
stay
there.
away from keeping it a joke is what they want to do and make it
It is
credible.
a joke that ladies are walking across with cards in 2018.
My only gripe with the ring girls, because I think they're the beauty to the beast. The beast is in the cage, and we're seeing that. And
What
that
one of
brings
the
it
ring
in.
girls is better looking than Alan Joban?
Ariana Celeste. Easy,
I don't think
a
she's
classic.
cute. I think she's the
But
favorite.
give me any Brazilian
I mean,
ring
not
girl.
that they're not cute. They're
I
all
got it.
cute. I'm not trying to bash any of the ring girls. I think they're all cute. I just think, can we evolve it a little bit so it's not all the same?
The thing that I noticed about the ring girls that's my only hang up with them is I was watching them ringside and they were flippantly throwing the ring cards down on the ground, just like letting them flop over, getting in people's ways, getting in ringmen's ways, and there would be a worker from the Amway Center or UFC that would specifically try to wrangle up that card, and only one of them eventually picked up her card, but they would throw the card flippantly and not care where it lands, and I'm like, that's your job, and
Didn't
you
they
have to pick that
remind you
up.
of like High School Mean Girls or something?
Agreed,
Like, they
and
were
that
just-
really set me off. It really made me
Maybe
think of
that's
them
why I
very
didn't have
ugly.
this ring girl thing at all. I've just been like, oh.
Yeah, I remember bringing it up and being very curmudgeon-y and being like, why are they being so nasty?
Why wouldn't they just
don't
set
have a
it
hard
down?
job. Yeah.
They pick it up and just set
Set
it
it
down.
down.
You're already holding it.
You're going to pick it up the next fight. Like, it's almost guaranteed, or in the next 2 to 3 fights,
Yeah.
because some might
All
finish
right,
early.
this is the
It
other
was
question. This is so
crazy.
stupid. We can totally get into 222.
We do need to get into this.
We will, but I don't care. I don't care. Fast
You
forward.
know what you're here for.
You got fast forward. You got that little thing that goes forward 15 seconds. Are you, if you're the ring girl, like, are you just, you only have to grab round 1. I only grab round 2, and she only grabs round 3, and you might never get there if you're 2 and 3? Like, if you're round 1 girl, or do they just switch it up?
I have never paid enough attention. I think they just rotated somehow.
Get to
amongst
us back.
themselves.
Somebody has to know. Somebody has
I don't know
to
if enough people care.
I know they have UFC ring girl cards. People must care.
True. Tap out cards.
Yeah, I know something. Okay. Two.
Getting ready for this breakdown. If you haven't liked and subscribed, remember to throw one out there. Even leave a comment now that we're on YouTube. If you haven't seen, we're growing a little bit. It's gotten better than last time. It's going to keep getting better. And the more attention we get, the easier it gets for us to bring better content to the viewers.
And better quality content. Can't you hear how crystally we sound? And we'll be working at better mics and all that kind of stuff. But I know it's got to be better than last time. It was a little shady before. It sounded like we were in a traffic tunnel.
We have room to grow. So people that think that this is a finished product, you do not get what's happening. You're coming along for the ride, making money along the way.
There it is.
So we are coming again from Las Vegas. UFC pay-per-view, $65 coming to you HD. This is going to come from the T-Mobile Arena. We have Christiana Cyborg fighting against debuting Kunitskayev. I can't think of her name right now off the top of my head, but either way, this is a really interesting headlining pay-per-view.
Kunitskaya. I've been practicing.
Kunitskaya.
It sounds, if you put Japanese in your head, it makes more sense.
It sounds easier.
Yeah.
So this was supposed to be Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar, and it ended up falling out due to an ankle injury for Max Holloway. So that bout got bumped down to the co-main event with Brian Ortega stepping in for Frankie Edgar. And learning along the way.
Okay.
We're going to start from the bottom of the top, though. That's going to be at the end of the night. At the beginning of the card, we are coming in at the light heavyweight division. We have Jordan Johnson against Adam Milstead at 205 pounds. Jordan Johnson is 8-0 with a debut already in the UFC, and Milstead is 8-1 coming off of a no contest due to blades popping for marijuana, but he did lose that bout due to knockout. Milstead has a few fights, beating De La Roca, who hasn't been in the UFC for a long time, so you really can't put that in the back of your head. That's a garbage fight. And against Blades, Milstead did all right, but really got blown out by a much better athlete. Jordan Johnson makes his money on the ground, has serviceable striking, but once he gets to the ground, he really can put it on you, get you in really unique situations. Coming out of the MMA lab, a lot of those calf kicks are coming out of there as well. I'm going to expect this light heavyweight to be throwing those, and that's going to be really rare, but the entries to his takedowns aren't the best. Either way, I think that he can overwhelm Milstead on the ground especially, but even striking wise, gas tanks, haven't seen enough of Milstead with his showings that he's had so far that I can't trust it. I feel like Jordan has a better gas tank just because he's gone to decision more in his career, but I'm going Johnson decision, if not submission, round 2 or 3. I don't think Milstead keeps up. He'll have a couple more fights in here. So how do you feel this one goes down?
The easiest Johnson decision, because that seems to be what he does in the UFC. The problem that I have with it is Milstead is coming down a lot of weight from his last fight. It almost makes me nervous that this fight's not going to happen at all. So be careful with this. It is the first fight of the night, but he's coming from fighting at heavyweight to light heavyweight, and he weighed in last time at 233 pounds. That's also tons more power. So it makes me really scared if a guy has a weak chin, which it doesn't look like Jordan Johnson does have a weak chin. So I'm going to go with Johnson decision. I could see a submission round 3, but I'm going to leave it as a decision right now. I think Milstead at a lighter weight, I just can't see him making this weight, especially when he's already hitting 31 soon. I'm going to go with Johnson's decision, but I'm going to stay away.
Jordan Johnson on DraftKings is 9,100 against the 7-1 for Adam Milstead. Yeah.
I think you can put Milstead on a card for a knockout. I think one card.
That's the possibility?
Yeah, one card.
Interesting. Puncher's chance.
Yeah, otherwise I stay away from this fight altogether, and I even think this fight could drop out, and you could have had a winner, but you'll never know.
So, on to the next bout. We have Brian Caraway versus Cody Stamen. Caraway, the long veteran, is coming back of a long layoff. He's coming off of his heart being broken as well. Misha Cupcake has moved on and got herself pregnant.
That is heartbreaking.
They were together for about 9 years. He didn't put a ring on it, and they moved along. But from what I've heard, Caraway already has another lady with him, regularly had. So maybe Love hasn't. He wasn't completely blindsided by this. They've kept pretty quiet about it, and it's their right to. Either way, a year, 8 months since Brian Caraway's last win split decision over Aljamain Sterling has really been the story of Brian Caraway's career. Regularly gets hurt, regularly has some sort of issues, never 100%, but when he gets in there, he knows how to make a gritty-ass fight. Cody Stamann's coming in with a 16-1 record, winning his 2 fights in the UFC against Terrion Ware, also beating Tom Duquesnoy, the underdog. I believe I had Stamann as the underdog against Duquesnoy. Stamann is a great wrestler, not great, good wrestler, uses it in reverse to use his boxing really well. He's very Chad Mendes-esque, thick, strong, good gas tank. He actually tends to get better for me later on in the rounds. So that's what I really like to see in fighters. The thing is that Brian Caraway has some of the highest fight IQ in the UFC for me. He really knows how to make uncomfortable fights, and everybody seems to always have a shitty fight against Brian Caraway, and that's
Everyone
all
always
due to
says,
credit.
that was boring.
That's
He's one of
game
those
plan.
guys.
He's that game plan of get you down there somehow. I do think that Stamann's wrestling, though, is going to come into effect here and be able to keep this striking. Striking-wise, Caraway doesn't have much power and is a little more defensively flawed. Also, when he moves forward, he can tend to leave himself open, but he'll more eat a shot to be able to get to your hips and take you down. So, right now, I'm going Stamann. I'm leaning Stamann. I know he's the favorite, and it's easy to the layoff, the ring rust and everything, but Caraway's come off of this ring rust before and really shown that he knows what he's doing in there, and it doesn't affect him as much. I could see some underdog plays for Caraway here. 8-5 for Cody Stamann to 7-7 for Caraway. I feel like Caraway's undervalued, but this is a grimy split decision type of a fight. I got Stamann decision. Hesitate. I'm not going to put it everywhere. How do you feel this one goes down?
Brian Caraway, in my opinion, is always an underestimated guy in the UFC. He's one of my favorites, and I think one of the reasons he's overlooked is because the flame of that Misha Tate torch. And it burns bright. That torch has got to burn bright. Everyone always asked him about her. There wasn't an interview he had. She got more hype in less fights in shorter amount of time, you know. I like Brian Caraway going in. I like his ring IQ. I think he's a better wrestler, in my opinion. Punching, I'm not really worried about his chin at all. I just think he tends to make other fighters look bad. It's going to be Brian... I think it'll be a boring, gory, kind of slow-going fight. They both might get clipped and hurt, but both guys have pretty good chins. I don't see a finish happening at all, and I just think, like you were saying, the ring IQ is going to just pull Brian Caraway right out. Even in a loss, I don't see how it's not worth it to play him for the price. How can you... To me, Stamann he's not a point fighter with punching, and he's not going to get enough takedowns on Brian Caraway. I don't understand how he can be worth so much on DraftKings. In my opinion, he doesn't get a finish of Brian Caraway. So, and for the price he needs a finish.
I think he needs, finish or 30-27 type of a fight, and I do not see that happening.
So, of the two,
the value
is on
Caraway.
Brian Caraway, and I got Caraway decision right now.
Ew, woo!
I got Caraway. I make money moves.
As we go on down the fight card, we have retiring Mike Pyle against Zach Ottawa. This is a welterweight bout, 170 pounds. We have the longtime veteran fighting since 1997, Mike Pyle, the quicksand himself, 27-13, coming in against Ottawa's 15-5. The 31-year-old against the 42-year-old is definitely going to have a little bit quicker of a, not pace necessarily, just output in general. Ottawa has an okay gas tank. He's serviceable everywhere. Doesn't really stick out anywhere for me, but he will not give up in a fight, and that's a really good quality to have for Ottawa. He is coming off of a loss, TKO punches to Jin Liang 2 months ago, which is really short notice for me, and he beat Kumimoto in a split decision. He also lost to Sergio Moraes in a split decision, but has another split decision against Josh Berkman. I feel like he's right where he needs to be. Pyle, the thing that we know he's coming in with, that advanced striking on the ground. He's got long limbs, throws up a lot of weird submission stuff. If not, we'll just throw something up in order to get the position to move. He's coming off of a 2-fight losing streak to Alex Garcia TKO and also Mina versus TKO flying knee. Pyle was piecing up Garcia before that finish came. Garcia was eating all sorts of shots. Pyle still has those angles and fight IQ. What he doesn't have anymore for me is the chin and or that quick muscle movement. It's just what happens when you get a bit older. You have this wealth of knowledge, but your leg just doesn't get there fast enough, and that punch gets there just a bit quicker. So with Pyle's retirement career, he's been saying specifically like he's really actually feeling good about it because he doesn't care if he wins or loses. And what that tells me is he's willing to go out there and throw flashy finishes. So maybe he gets them, maybe he doesn't. The thing that happens with those flashy moves is you got to load them up sometimes. And as I was saying before, that kick might be a little too loaded up. And that younger, faster fighter will get there regardless just because that's the point in time of your career. I'm going to have to go with Ottawa. Decision, if not TKO in the first or two. I don't trust Mike Pyle's chin anymore. I trust this serviceable guy a little bit more. He's not going to be a title contender anytime soon, but he can beat Mike Pyle. How do you feel this one goes down?
I'm not huge on Zach Otto. Is it Otto?
It is Otto.
It seems so... It's spelled kind of weird. Anyway, I'm not super high on him. In my opinion, these are both guys that should be on like a fight pass before a Fox night. Not on a pay-per-view at all. This is one of the worst fights of... I think the prelims kind of better than the pay-per-view, even though there's these two big fights on the pay-per-view. But this fight is just... I don't like to call fights garbage. I don't call fighters garbage. But this fight's kind of garbage. Mike Pyle, get out of here. Gotta get on out of here. You gotta get on out. I just think he's going to get knocked out in round 2. Not because he doesn't have skills. Not because he didn't used to have skills. And not because Zach Ottawa has more skills than Mike Pyle once had. It's just because he has a glass chin. That's it. And it will get hit once, like every single fight. I mean, unless you're Shevchenko, fighting Shevchenko, you're going to at least win.
Because he's longer, he's going to look like Ben Saunders. Just wobbly, wriggly old knees.
I almost had a good one. Unless you're fighting Shevchenko, you're bound to land one punch. So if you land one punch on Mike Pyle, you might even just punch him in the elbow, and he's going to get, like, knocked out. So, yeah, Otto, KO round 2. Because I'm not super high on him, one thing I've learned with betting is I'm not going to bet him just because I do think he's going to have the finish here. I'm changing kind of my headset a little. I'm just not high on him.
So, the DraftKings line is Zach Otto, 8-9, versus Mike Pyle's 7-3. I don't see any value in Pyle. But if he could get the elbow finish.
He could get a flash knockout.
I feel like it's
the same
10%
as I
chance.
said in the
It's a 10% chance.
Yeah.
It's really, really highly unlikely.
There's better bets.
Much better bets.
Evening.
This next bet might be one of those better bets. We have middleweight bout, 185 pounds between Hector Lombard and CB Dalloway. We have Hector Lombard coming in within a 34-8 record against CB 16-8.
What was the name of that guy who jumped out of the plane over the Pacific Northwest and stole all the money?
DB Cooper.
Oh, okay. Not CB Dalloway. Just checking. I thought I was on to something.
Oh, I like where your head's at. So we have a Hector Lombard coming in with a 4-fight losing streak. 40 years old against the CB Dalloway, who is 16-8. And coming off of a win against Ed Herman decision. Prior to that, having a 3-fight losing streak against Nate Marquardt, Bisping decision, and also losing to Machida by TKO. CB Dalloway has a really sketchy chin, has had it for a very long time. We know that he comes in here and he wrestles, and when he wrestles...
You want to hear some breaking news?
Please.
Barboza versus Motown phenom Kevin Lee. Been scheduled.
Good to know.
I should have done breaking. Like a...
Beep, 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 beep.
No, it's just breaking. Late breaking.
So, with Lombard, or with Dalloway, his wrestling is the way he makes his money. Lombard has good takedown defense. He's always had good takedown defense. Lombard's chin is held up a bit better. Him coming off of his 4-fight losing streak to Anthony Smith TKO 4 months ago. Then losing to Hendricks decision. Also losing to Henderson. We know what we're getting with Hector Lombard. He blitzes you in the first 2 rounds. Gas tank hasn't been around since USADA much anymore.
Yeah.
It's really diminished. He's been affected a lot by it. It's whether he can land that kill shot. It's the puncher's chance for Lombard compared to Dalloway's wrestling grind. If CB chooses to keep this striking, I think he can be winning this entire fight, and Lombard just has to land that one shot. And Lombard does have that pounce ability, and he can put together 8 punch combinations. He'll spend himself for the rest of the round. He won't do shit, but he's not so easy to take down as well. I really, really am hesitant to put this fight anywhere. I feel like it can go either way. It's a coin flip for me. But right now, I'm trusting Hector Lombard on a 4-fight losing streak coming against CB Dalloway. I don't like it. I feel dirty about it. I'm not going to put it everywhere, but I do have Lombard finishing CB Dalloway first or second round. Don't trust that chin.
Is it just a 4-fight losing streak? When was the last time he won?
The decision of Berkman, I believe he ended up getting that overturned due to popping on steroids. So
because
he won
I
that.
have that he hasn't beat Jake his last one was 3/15/2014 against Jake Shields.
That sounds about right.
I'm going to go with CB Dalloway. I'm going with CB Dalloway. I feel like CB Dalloway got knocked out by a Machida when he still had a glimpse of still being Machida. He got knocked out by Nate, but isn't Nate fighting? Or who retired and somebody's in Bellator and somebody's a preacher? Is Nate the preacher now, or?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He turned to religion. That's right.
And that was a great fight for Nate. I got Dalloway decision. I could even see him getting a knockout just because I am the opposite. I don't trust Hector Lombard's chin at all. I think he comes out in a flurry. He looks like a wild animal in there. He gasses in about 1 minute and 30 seconds, and then he gets knocked out every time. All the power is gone from his hands, and every guy feels like they can go in on him after that point. I'm going to put Dalloway decision. I could see it being a finish, but Hector Lombard has the strength of 10 men. He can knock anyone out, so that could still happen too. I do not see how either guy is a safe play. I see
Agreed.
Both guys ruining your DraftKings cards.
400 for Hector Lombard against CB's 7-8. So CB is he the better play though? Because as we're both kind of saying it right now, CB's going to get a decision. Might not be a lot of points. Might be 3 takedowns, 1 each round, and that's where the fight stays. Just throwing that out there. If there's a finish, I do feel like it's more likely Lombard. Hesitant. Be hesitant. There's money to be made in other spots for sure. Onto the bantamweights, we have a rescheduled bout between John Dodson versus Munoz. Munoz did not make weight in Brazil. This was rescheduled. They didn't want to give John Dodson his show money, and I don't believe they ever did. We never heard the conclusion of whether he got paid or not.
I don't believe he did get it.
I don't think he did either. So he's fighting for a double paycheck, made a trip to Brazil for no reason, and now might have a little extra fire underneath his ass to get this win if he needs to. We've already broken this down once, so I feel like I'm going to shoot right through it because this is a rescheduled bout. I feel like you can go into the last pay-per-view if you absolutely have to. Not much has changed other than potentially with these guys that are missing weight, hence Mark Munoz, every one of them has been winning. Mm-hmm. And initially I had John Dodson, as of our last breakdown, that he would win a runaway fight, end up just circling a lot, landing a couple punches. And Munoz has to win this in the later rounds, much like other fighters on this fight night. He's going to be losing the whole time and could get the submission. I have Dodson decision. I still haven't wavered from that. I feel like now that they're in Vegas, it's going to make it more likely that John Dodson's going to do even better now that the Brazilian is on American soil, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that is pretty true. The one thing I don't like about John Dodson, and I don't know if his style is conducive for the 2018 rules. Like what used to be how he played, I did not notice that working well for him in his last fight. Oh yeah, they were in Brazil? No, he didn't show. But we did see him fight that wasn't Munoz last.
Marias. He lost to Marias via split decision 2 months ago.
And I don't know if it should have been a split. I thought John Dodson looked like he didn't. I don't even know if he threw any punches. He just did that. He's a Jackson Wink guy, isn't he?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I see that being a decision because he runs away the whole fight. I'm not saying that he's going to knock him out. By no means. But Munoz has to jump on to this fight. And for that to happen, Dodson has to be going in on a takedown. That's how Munoz has gotten a lot of times. People go to shoot on him. John Dodson's not going to shoot on him. Guaranteed. Hasn't done it. Spams that overhand right. Switches his little Ninja Turtle legs and keeps hoofing. I got decision. John Dodson.
I'm going to go with John Dodson's decision as well, because if you actually look back at his record, he only loses to people he's fearful of their power. And I don't think he has any reason to be fearful of Munoz's power.
Munoz can crack. John Dodson's got an okay chin. Evil twin, by the way. We haven't talked about that, so I'm going in a little bit. He's all over Munoz. He's thinking that Munoz is able to pull off that submission in the later rounds because Dodson will give up the fight. And this is actually a really good point. As much as we're saying he's going to win by running away, he could be giving it away, thinking he has 2 rounds, and actually it turns out being 2 rounds for Munoz. Dirty split coming your way, John Dodson. So, anything left on that one?
I don't know. It is a very nerve-wracking fight. I feel like I felt just as nerve-wracked about it before. I'm just kind of ready to fade John Dodson.
It's close. I feel like that time's right around the corner.
It's not because I'm high on Pedro Munoz. I almost feel like if it was a different fighter other than Pedro, I might be like, Dodson's done. But I think it's the way he Christmas trees his record. Win one, lose one, win one, lose one. Dodson decision. Dirty split. I could see it too.
Dirty split. We have another preliminary bout coming at us. Beneil Dariush welcoming the debuting Alexander Hernandez. This is, I don't even know how to say a setup fight. This is a 1 week short notice fight. Hernandez is obviously willing to just get in there for that UFC contract. And he's going about it a really hard fucking way. Beneil Dariush, top 5 in my eyes. Top 8 UFC guys right now. I don't believe he is ranked.
UFC
he's 10.
or just in 155?
In general, Topology has Dariush at number 10 in the world. So that's UFC rankings.
But 155, not like
at
155. UFC, top 10 of UFC.
I think he's in top 10 of UFC, Beneil Dariush, right outside.
The 155 division.
Correct.
Okay.
155 division. So
not just the whole UFC blanketed.
Oh, no, not pound for pound or any of that type of
okay.
Stuff. No, I'm saying Beneil Dariush. So he's coming off of a huge win or loss to, was it Edson Barbosa? Evan Dunham, majority decision, got waived for some reason. I don't know if someone popped on that. But before that, he lost a huge TKO to Edson Barbosa with the knee 11 months ago. That's against Dunham. Dunham is very underrated as a fighter. Beneil Dariush, with his 14-3 record, has seen only top-level competition.
Barbosa's the knee. Dunham was the draw. The draw.
Was it a draw?
I thought so. No?
Just majority decision Dunham. But I feel like Dunham popped on something is why it's taken away.
Dunham.
Something
Dunham.
But either way, this 8-1 fighter, Hernandez, is coming out of the LFA scene with some knockouts and submissions. He's a young up-and-comer. He's hungry. Beneil Dariush is going to try to get a win in here. And again, if you're not the top 10 guys where Dunham needed a little bit of assistance on short notice, I feel like Dariush is just way more capable anywhere this fight goes. People are saying that chin is gone. I don't think so at all. Edson Barbosa can knock out anybody, and the fact that he didn't get knocked out against Dunham and made some shots in there is proven that he's going to be just fine. Hernandez can catch. Easy one for me. Dariush decision. If not, I can see TKO round 1 or 2 just because humongous step up for Hernandez. LFA to Dariush. There should be 3 fights before he gets to Dariush.
I couldn't agree more. I am worried a little bit about Beneil Dariush's chin these days. I don't know. I like Beneil Dariush a lot. I think he's a guy that still has something to prove. The knockout over James Vick is huge to me. I think he can knock out a newcomer and give this kid his first loss. I don't know enough about him, but I'm just looking at the experience that Hernandez has, and I do think a guy like with Dariush's experience can knock him out, but maybe not in round 1. Round 1's heart, round 2 is will, round 3 Dariush knocks him out. That's my guess.
Whoa.
I don't know. I'm guessing that Beneil's probably the most expensive guy of the night.
He is not.
Huh.
I don't think you'd be that surprised once you really think about it. Dariush is actually 9,200 against Alexander's 7,000. I don't really see putting Alexander anywhere. I really see myself being able to do a 4 Dariush because as we're both saying the knockout's coming, Dariush is disgusting on the ground. He will mop this guy up. even though, so there's just so many more plus sides to Dariush in this fight. He is one of the more expensive ones of the night. On to, though...
Oh my gosh, here it goes.
We got a debuting Mackenzie Dern coming.
Finally.
From the Invicta scene. Tons of hype behind her. Real big following on Twitter, Instagram, all that. She does a lot of bikini shots. Looks good. Is a jiu-jitsu ace against Ashley Yoder at 115 pounds. Yoder, being 5-3, is coming off of a 2-fight losing streak in the UFC to Angela Hill, Justine Kish, and that's how she's entered the UFC with 2 losses. So Mackenzie Dern, coming out of Invicta, is pretty much the premier organization to have the most talent coming out for women. Some of the European organizations just go through Invicta first, and then that's where the UFC picks them, which UFC owns Invicta, so makes sense. Mackenzie Dern, though, has tons of hype. Doesn't have good head movement. She strikes, has okay striking, but she takes a lot of punishment and really relies on eating those few shots to get the people to the ground. Once she's on the ground, she's comfortable. She can do anything she needs from every position. But the lack of that head movement against more veteran to better strikers.
Well, people are calling her like the next coming of Ronda.
Get ready. She's eaten heavier shots than Ronda has.
I'm just saying, second coming of Ronda. Yeah, she's an ace on the ground, but she's gonna lack head movement.
Exactly. That's exactly right. The thing that people like about her is that she eats a shot and keeps coming, where Ronda never ate shots too bad. Where Mackenzie Dern has had a couple of
Misha
hard
and her
fights.
were in a brawl. Misha and Ronda were in a little brawl.
So, Yoder, we don't have to worry about that power. Even though she throws a lot, they're just more...
Betch put it on Ronda. Remember that? Betch.
Kinda. She ran away for the whole time and then got knocked out.
No way. I feel like she threw more punches on Betch than Betch threw on her. She just got Betch finally. Betch almost submitted her. Do you remember that?
Do I remember that?
I don't know.
Oh, the past. So, either way, with Yoder, she likes to keep it standing.
People are here to hang out. We don't have to rush them through.
Oh, okay. I was worried about...
People are here to hang. Everyone, you rushing to get somewhere?
I was wondering about the gigs. I was just like, oh, either way. So, with Yoder, I see that this is a setup fight. The UFC is just like, we have somebody with a ton of hype. Let's give them somebody that they can beat. There's nothing to be worried about, especially on the ground. I'm going to go Dern decision. I'm going to stay away from this fight, though. This has a really easy upset. People are going to be parlaying Mackenzie Dern everywhere. I don't think that it's a good play everywhere.
I think Mackenzie Dern's one of your surest bets of the night. I think Mackenzie Dern is going to submit her.
So she's going to finish? I think it's a decision.
I think she submits her in round 1.
Wow. You're giving... Yeah. You think she can?
The last time this girl won was, what, in the same company that Mackenzie Dern's the champion of?
True.
So, yeah, this girl's stepping up to fight the champion the last time she won. They're pretty much, coming out of the same Invicta deal.
Uh-huh.
Yoder's never beat UFC caliber yet. So, can she beat the champion of her weight class from Invicta? I don't think so. I'm going to go with Dern. Submission round 1. I'm not going to ride the hype train on Dern, though, like everyone else for the rest of the time.
What I'm trying to say.
But Yoder isn't
It's a no one.
Yeah,
it's a setup fight.
Yeah,
this is
so
a UFC setup fight.
Like, I see money to be made later on. There's other fights that I see in the future that are coming for certain people that are hype trains right now in the women's
looking
world.
to make money against.
Yeah, that I can't wait. But Yoder is...
This is not it.
She's no Leslie Smith. That's all I'm saying. She no Leslie Smith.
So, Mackenzie Dern is 9,000 on DraftKings against Yoder's 7,200.
And Dern's not going to lay any points. It's just going to be the quick finish. That's where all her points are going to lie.
So, that's over 100 points.
So, it is that nerve-wracking. I understand what you're saying, where it's like she's not going to go in and lay tons of punches and points like that, but I believe she'll get the submission.
So, are you going to lay her heavy on your DraftKings cards or back off? I think I'm
Am I going to lay her?
Lay her down on the card.
Lay her down?
Hell yeah.
I'm going to put Dern everywhere. I'm going to put Dern. Whoa. What's going on over there?
I have no idea.
Anyway. Yeah. So I think you put Dern on some cards. I don't think you put her everywhere. I think you put her on like 50, 60% of your cards. I think she's a good bet for 90 to 110 points.
Bold. We have the main card. After that, headlining. Was that the headlining that on Fox
That was
FS1?
the headlining prelim bout, and now we're on to Kat Zingano.
Long awaited comeback for Kat Zingano. It has been just over a year and 6 months. Kat Zingano has always been hurt. She's coming in with a 9-2 record against Caitlin Vieira, who's a 9-0, just beating Sarah McMahon in a submission, which is a very unique situation that I'm in, because the more I look at McMahon's career, the more I'm like, oh, I can't put that much trust. McMahon isn't that much of a beast. Zingano traditionally tends to lose her first round. Each shot is durable as hell to an extent. She's durable for the fight length of 15 minutes. Usually comes out of the fight with a broken foot, hand, knee, or something happens.
She's hardcore.
Yeah, but she's not willing to give up in there. She is 35 years old against a 26-year-old. Zingano likes to keep it striking, throws a lot of knees. Vieira does the same thing, and on the ground has really shown that she is strong on the ground. Zingano is serviceable, but that ring rust is something that I'd like to try to stay off of. Zingano's been looking good. I've seen some training all over the twits about her.
Funny, Kat and Brian coming back at the same time.
Oh, UFC conspiracy all of a sudden amongst everything. So, Kat can take it to the ground, has had some Fight of the Year contenders against Misha herself, but this is a long time ago as well. I think Vieira is a little more powerful, can land just as good a knees, has good takedown defense, and I think that's where this is going to matter, is in the takedown defense of Vieira. I liked what I saw from Vieira, even though McMahon is really doing way worse than we ever thought. I got Vieira for the finish in the second round. I think that she's not going to be able to come out in that second round, or if she does, it's just a matter of time till Vieira
The finish?
finishes her.
That's vague.
The finish Vieira?
Yeah, how? Finish how?
Oh, I feel like it's going to be knees. I think she gets her with knees up along the cage. Some takedown defense in there for Vieira.
See, I just think my girl Alpha Cat, her spleen might be hanging out of her asshole, and she's still going to keep fighting. I just think she has a lot of heart. She's not going to go back in. Juliana Pena is that decision to me is that's the last time she fought.
Right.
Was fighting Pena. Juliana Pena.
Big time wrestler.
Vieira, she is good. I do understand what you're saying about Kat being serviceable on the ground.
Did knock out the current champion, just throwing that out there.
I do remember. That was a different Amanda Nunes.
Agreed, 100%. 100%. But still, she has that in there. Kat Zingano is a longtime veteran. Evil Twin loves Kat Zingano. He's betting her, but he's saying he's a little hesitant just because...
I have Kat Zingano knockout round 2 because I just think she has the experience. But does she? You know, the when she came into the UFC, it was still so young, and she did fight a lot of fights, introduced a lot of girls to their first UFC bouts. I'm going to stick with Alpha Cat. I got KO round 2. I'm not going to put this too heavily anywhere. It's just because Ashley Evans Smith. I don't know if it's better to beat Ashley Evans Smith or to lose to Pena decision. Like in my head, it's that MMA math that I don't know what's a better thing. So I got to go with Alpha Cat. Got to go with my heart here. She's the last of a dying breed.
I think being last is not far off of where she's at in her career right now. She is kind of that transition into the new breed, and that's where I think Vieira is that new breed. I think Vieira is already young enough that she's watched Kat's fights and is like, what? I'm going to fight Kat?
I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah, I would want to fight. That's how I like how the guys do it that way, so I get how she would too. I'm fighting Alpha Cat, big name.
Yep, here's where I make my move.
It should be a decent fight. It should actually be a little slobber knocker for a lady fight. So
Vieira is 8,300 against Alpha Cat's 7,900.
That's about right.
I feel like that's totally right as well. Do I need to be like Alpha Cat's also a Team Alpha Male? Does that even matter anymore? The way that they've kind of been going down as of late. A lot of their fighters.
Are you telling me she's been training with Sarah McMahon?
Just saying. So, as we get to the heavyweights, the big boys are going to come through. We have, as you were saying before, Slobber Knocker. This has the potential of that happening, but potential is everything, and John Jones has potential. So
It's not going to be a slobber knocker. Arlovsky always gets knocked out in the first.
Interesting point of views. I feel like
Except against the baby diaper, which who was he? He was like a guy. Who was that guy?
He knocked out Johnson. It's a weird MMA world we live in, but we have Stefan Struve against Andrei Arlovsky, the Pitbull himself, former belt holder in Arlovsky. Struve is coming off of a loss with a 28-9 career. His loss to Yakovlev TKO 5 months ago, beating Antonio Silva before that, and also beating Omelianchuk in a submission Darce choke. Andrei Arlovsky had a 4-fight losing streak, just won his baby Albini diaper fight. Albini is a little weird. What's happening with this this Winklejohn fighter in Andrei Arlovsky is we've seen it even as of late in his last losses that he's not in there and swinging crazily anymore. He's trying to win his decisions because he feels like he's a faster fighter with more power and more technical, and he himself understands that his chin ain't there. Look at his losses. They are decisions. He has a TKO in there, but he has a couple decisions where people have been saying he can't take a punch. I think he's adapted his game plan. And Stefan Struve just coming off of a knockout, he's one of those guys that, I feel like there's a coin flip of a fight for me. Evil Twins coming in all over Arlovsky. I think Arlovsky uses a game plan to win this decision as well. I'm going to not put either fighter heavily anywhere, but I could see putting either fighter because I do not see this. I don't see it finishing, but it's the heavyweight curse of every single heavyweight fight as of late. Well, it usually goes to decision more so than knockout. Like it's one or the other in the heavyweight division. There's no late round finishes too often. So I could see a decision Arlovsky, and that's kind of what I'm picking right now. Could also see neither fighter finish it in a various ways, submissions or TKO.
I still believe that Stefan Struve has gas in the tank for the UFC. I still think he has some rounds in him. I do not believe Andrei Arlovsky should be here anymore. I don't believe he's beat anyone in the UFC, a legitimate UFC person, since Frank Mir.
Which is a pretty huge step up. That's big. That was a while ago.
2015.
That was a while ago. I know.
2015. So it's been so long since Andrei Arlovsky has even... Just because you stayed away from baby Albini doesn't mean you're going to stay away from Stefan Struve. I think Struve's going to really hurt Andrei Arlovsky, but I think he's going to submit him on top of it. I got Struve submission round 2. I think he can actually knock him out in round 1. To me, Stefan Struve is the safe bet. I will not have Andrei Arlovsky anywhere.
So, with that line, we have...
Andrei Arlovsky's not even going to be able to stay away from the extra reach.
That's what we always think. Stefan Struve for me is
You're telling me baby Albini's reach is the same as Stefan Struve's?
No, but I don't think that...
You're putting a lot on baby Albini victory.
I'm not saying...
a lot on a baby Albini victory.
What I'm saying is Stefan Struve tends to do what a lot of tall guys do and not use his length to its full potential. We saw Adesanya do it recently, and that's why people are saying he's a prospect, because he puts people at the end of his punches. Stefan Struve almost like lunges it out and is slower on his reaction and uses his kicks well, but he doesn't really use his length. He's gotten outboxed by a lot of other fighters, and I feel like Andrei Arlovsky can outbox Stefan Struve. Stefan Struve can finish him on the ground, but Arlovsky's been in there with top jiu-jitsu guys and knows how to stay away and keep a fight standing position. I think there's a lot of
like Josh Barnett. Josh Barnett, he is top jiu-jitsu guy.
He is. He's a catch wrestler. He's a legend. So Barnett has a big ground game. Either way, that's a scary fight. Stefan Struve 8,800 on DraftKings. Andrei Arlovsky 7,400.
He ain't worth it for that.
Exactly.
He ain't worth it for that.
Arlovsky at 7-4. I'm just saying, I'm gonna put him on a couple cards. Stefan Struve maybe on a card.
7-4. That ain't bad for like 6 points.
And he could get the knockout. Either one can get a knockout in this fight. Either fighter.
That's every fight. That's every single
fight.
That
is true. Especially though in this heavyweight division. So, on to...
I'm not even a huge Stefan Struve fan. He's one of my least favorites. Andrei Arlovsky.
It's hard to figure.
How many fights am I going to say? Andrei Arlovsky, what are you doing here? But then baby Albini, I had baby Albini.
Exactly.
Just because I'm so ready to fade Andrei Arlovsky.
I agree.
But
That's
then
what
I'm
I'm
like,
saying.
Baby Albini. Now looking back at
Yeah.
it, Andrei Arlovsky, you couldn't finish Baby Albini?
I totally agree, but that's where I'm saying that they might be overlooking Arlovsky. I think he can put together a game plan that's worthwhile. So on to
He loves that Jackson Wink game plan.
I do. It works.
Does it though?
A finger in the eye
Did it,
works.
though?
Finger in the eye works.
Did it though?
We have Sean O'Malley at bantamweight versus Andre Sokamthath, Soccer Mom via Sean O'Malley himself on the embeddeds. If you're watching, they are profiled on this fight because O'Malley's coming off that Contender Series.
Keep talking. I'm just checking.
Flash knockouts coming at you. Sokamthath tends to be a Muay Thai striker. Sokamthath is coming in with a 12-5 record, 9-0 for O'Malley. Sokamthath, or the Asian sensation himself, came off of a win to TKO Saunders, but lost 2 in a row before that to Perez, which was a robbery. Perez should have lost that fight. Sokamthath knocked him down 2 times in a round, and they didn't give him a 10-8. And a split decision to Morales, who Morales has not shown that he's UFC caliber. So Sokamthath is getting in here to be put as a showcase fight for O'Malley, and this is exactly Sokamthath's game. The Asian sensation likes to keep it standing. He tends to be a counter striker. He backs up a lot more, and that's why he's given up some of these decisions. Perez put a pressure on him, didn't land much, but kept moving forward, and that's where he got that disgusting robbery of a decision, is because of the forward movement, where Sokamthath was doing more damage, but throwing a lot less and throwing just tons of power, still into the third round, but he loads up way too much on his shots, and fast guys are really going to be able to get around that, especially later on when you're loading up on those type of shots. O'Malley comes with a crazy tornado of a game, throws a lot of spinning stuff, a lot of knees, a lot of jumping attacks, because he's so confident on the ground that he can throw up submissions that he really lets loose in there. A lot of people like him due to his advanced striking and his nonstop pressure. Though with Terrion Ware in his last bout that he won a decision, Tupperware put a good showing on there, showed how a counter striker can beat up O'Malley. O'Malley takes a lot more shots than people like to let on. He's not just running through these guys. He's getting in there in legit fights now that he's in the UFC, and he can spin into an elbow or straight punch. Sokamthath has a really good jab that he could use well in here. This is a really fun striking bout. Don't see it ever going to the ground. I actually feel like I'm leaning a little more Sokamthath. I think O'Malley, like I said, is so confident in his striking that he leaves openings, and that's where he gets hit. And Sokamthath throws hard enough to be able to sit him down. The real question for me is if the Asian sensation goes to the ground, that's where he loses his fight, because O'Malley is a little octopus down there and will snatch something up. So if he hurts him, he needs to back up and just keep working on his game. The thing that does also scare me, though, with the sensation is he'll give up a round thinking he's up 2 rounds because he's landing counter shots, but O'Malley's moving forward. I got Asian sensation TKO round 3.
Whoa.
Woo! O'Malley will get hit in this fight. It's a scary one.
Don't you think Sean has the better gas tank, though? So round 3.
I was thinking that Sean slows down so much that he's going to do one of those spinning attacks, and Sokamthath saves his energy enough in the third rounds that he can land that counter as that spin's coming. Might be to the back of the head, might be to the right to the jaw, but O'Malley's going to flop on himself. He has good recovery. He's a young guy. Eventually, it's going to be a Frankie Edgar Yair, where we're like, ooh, all this spinning stuff's awesome. When someone's like, oh, they take the shot and then throw something, they're waiting for that spin and throw something down the middle. It can land. It's a scary one. I'm not 100% on this. This can be an easy decision, O'Malley, just due to the pressure.
I actually think Sean O'Malley is one of the guys to watch out for in the 135 division. I think he's so young and so advanced already at 23. I think he's going to skyrocket. He's like going to be a firework. Sokamthath is a guy that can ruin a guy who's on hype trains. He does that. The other thing I think Sean O'Malley is going to have a problem with going into this, there's not too many guys that actually have his exact reach. He usually has a very, reach advantage somewhere.
Yeah,
he's super tall guy for the division. But so Hamthath is kind of a big guy.
He is
a big guy. And they have the exact same reach. Who has more power? If I'm questioning it, I agree with you. I don't know how Sean O'Malley's chin is, and I actually think what could happen is that he does get hurt, and so Hamthath follows him down, just like you're saying. I think that's the danger there. Because Sean's dangerous in more places, and I think the UFC is behind him more, and Vegas is behind the UFC, so that's where we get this weird where the more favorite guy tends to win in Vegas. I'm going to go with O'Malley. I'm going to go with O'Malley decision. And I gotta think they see the hype train too and set him up with the perfect fight. I'm interested where he's fighting out of now. So Hamthath.
So we have 8,200 for Hamthath, Asian Sensation, against 8,000 for O'Malley. O'Malley, the underdog on DraftKings. DraftKings might know a little something about what they're talking about. That's crazy lines. I gotta say though, O'Malley's the better price on DK there.
I think O'Malley's, doesn't he lay a lot more points than Hamthath? What's their average?
He has a much higher strike percentage. I don't have the strike specifically, but by far does throw a lot more out there. Oh, that's a tough fight. Those DraftKings lines threw me for a loop right there. I thought I had a big underdog there. I would think O'Malley's the big favorite.
Yeah, he's definitely doesn't have nearly as many fights in the UFC. It's only his second fight, right, in the UFC?
Correct. But he's on the Contender Series and all that. So, anything left?
I think I'm good there.
On to the co-main event.
I think you're kind of safe, though, with both guys. I don't see a finish, and I see him,
putting out a big pace?
Yeah.
It's a close one. We have a co-main event with Frankie Edgar
and my boyfriend.
The answer himself against Brian T. City
No,
Ortega.
I'm trading in the answer. I love Brian T. City Ortega now.
What?
I know.
What? You've been a pretty huge Frankie Edgar ride or die for a long time. I know you've even had some graphics posted about the answer and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think T. City is like the next... The way he sees things is kind of similar as Rose, and they're trying to spread good and love, and I hate to get all hippy-dippy, but I love that. I love it. And he just seems like a really sweet guy. He's handsome. Mexican guy, blue eyes. What?
Have you been watching the Embeddeds?
Oh, yeah.
I really do love how they're showing the bodegas and the food and everything, because that's it. That's how you go down to Cali.
He picked up that plate of meat.
Yeah,
he's like,
carnitas, you pick those with tortillas. You grab those and just make a little hand taco. Booyaka shot right down the trap. So, this is a fun one. If you haven't been watching Embeddeds, get on it. Good fun series. You can always learn a little bit about the background and stuff. Really love Frankie Edgar as well. How he coaches on the side is at with his kids' wrestling camps. Again, really fun stuff to just watch these guys grow up in it, and you're seeing a young man with Ortega turn into a man and how he's kind of coming into the light. So, Frankie Edgar was going for a title. He was ready for a 5-rounder. This is turning into a 3, and I think that benefits Ortega by far.
I agree.
By far. Ortega, though, is having the harder weight cut. Frankie Edgar always has traditionally been around that weight class and never had too hard of a weight cut. Ortega, though, is huge at 5'9", at 145 pounds. I feel like he's more like 5'10". He always towers over most of his competition. The 6'9", 69-inch reach is actually 3 inches shorter than Frankie Edgar's 62 inch.
Oh, gorilla arms, 72 inch.
72 inch, sorry about that. So, Frankie Edgar knows how to box. Comes in with a good boxing, definitely uses his wrestling in reverse. Actually gets a lot of takedowns, and if he's on top control, is a monster. Shuts down all sorts of hype trains. Frankie Edgar has been fighting at the top level since he entered the UFC, and has really only had 2 easy fights early in his career, which weren't even easy. He almost lost his knee in his first fight against Tyson Griffin. But either way, Frankie Edgar, we know what we're getting with him. High pace, good boxing, good angles. You're not going to take him down out of nowhere. these jumping submissions that Ortega really likes to do to Cub Swanson and stuff. Cub Swanson isn't Frankie Edgar level. He's not. We've seen Frankie run right through Cub as well, and Cub's more on the decline. Ortega does have a ton of hype with a 13-0 record. He's a third-round quality finish guy. He can be losing rounds too. Clay Guida losing that fight, 100%, being outboxed by Clay Guida. Just throwing that out there. Then he was also losing to Cub Swanson. No, I feel like he handedly was beating Cub Swanson.
I thought he got hurt a few times with Cub. He always gets hurt.
Exactly. Carnero, he also got hurt and then came out with a submission in the third round. TCD against Brandao, that was a slugfest before he got it. Tavares almost got T-City out of there as well. T-City...
Almost.
Only
works in horseshoes and hand grenades.
It is the truth. But with the advanced high IQ that Frankie Edgar has been able to show, the game plan is stay away from the ground with this guy. Don't let this guy jump over you. And what we see with Frankie Edgar is he can stick to a game plan even if he's losing. Do
you think he probably has the top 5 highest ring IQs in the entire UFC?
He's up there. If it's not just his ring IQ, his corner has known him and they've been together for so long. It's a perfect... That's a camp that you can really look at and see what it takes to create a...
Do you think Frankie is the best striking coach ever?
I think that doesn't... No. Because I can't say who the best striking coach is ever. There could be some guy in a garage that doesn't have the right fighter and vice versa. But then if you're the best, you should make anybody the best. No. I think there's many striking coaches out there. Is he a high-quality striking coach? Yes, he is. And that benefits Frankie Edgar. But Frankie Edgar has had crisp-ass boxing since day one. Beautiful jab, throws it in there, pistons it, has that type of tempo
because
into the 5th round.
Because he's had the same striking coach since day one, I think.
Yeah, he stayed with his camp. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If you want to see how to create it...
Who is his striking coach? It's somebody known.
Yes.
Somebody...
Alameda's his jiu-jitsu guy. They're the Jersey guys.
It's the only striking coach I know. It's really the only one.
Alameda and... Oh, why am I'm brain farting.
We know it.
Either way, with Ortega, he's definitely hittable. Also has a good jab. His striking is, though, where he needs to get a whole lot better. Gets tagged up way more than my liking. And really... I don't know if he relies because I feel like he's willing to get the finish, but sometimes he needs to get woken up. I feel like some of those first rounds where he gets knocked down, it's because he needs to eat a punch or two before he is just like, whoa, I'm in a fight. And I think that the other fighters as well, all of a sudden are very surprised by what happens. And T-City is this. I do think that he is the new guard. Frankie Edgar is the epitome of the old guard. I don't know if a changing of the guards in line. I feel like I bet Rodriguez, thinking that the same thing was going to happen, and Frankie Edgar had the answer for that puzzle that nobody was able to answer before. When we really look back at it, how much was it a puzzle? If Clay Guida can beat you on the feet, Frankie Edgar is going to be able to do that and stay off the ground. I got a decision all 3 rounds, if not 29-28, Frankie Edgar. Actually, 30-27, Frankie Edgar.
That's what my head says. My heart says T-City gets a weird... The danger with his weird jump transitions is right when you're comfortable thinking that it's an impossibility to happen, it happens. Even when the guys are prepared, it's even worse than Damian Maia, because it's like guys prepare when they fight Damian Maia and they know exactly what his game plan's going to be and they still can't do it. With T-City, it's even worse. They know exactly what his one move's going to be and they still can't do it. It goes back to that, don't practice 10,000 moves at one time, practice one move 10,000 times. I think Brian has done that. And the fact that that's perfected and then everything else is just keep growing. This is not a fade on Frankie Edgar. Even as far as his age is concerned, I still think he has gas in the tank. I'm glad this fight isn't against Max Holloway. I think Frankie has a better shot at winning. The 3-round fight... Because Brian Ortega does not have to save his gas tank at all, that's the worry, that he can come out, and I'm not worried about Frankie knocking him out. So I don't think he's going to try to get him down. Even though Frankie's good on the ground, I'm not really worried there. It's just having that idea of the triangle already built in makes Frankie kind of stop using some of his weapons that he normally would use. So he is just going to try to stand up the whole time, where I don't think he has the power to knock somebody out. He's a death by 1,000 cuts, and it takes him 5 rounds to do it usually. So point. 3 rounds. I got T-City.
Woo!
I can't even believe I'm fucking saying this because I can't even fathom it happening. Jump submission round 2 on Frankie Edgar. And I think everyone's going to be surprised except maybe Brian Ortega. And after it happens, I'm going to say me because I called that shit. But right now I'm like, ooh, what a weird pick. I'm going to have both fighters on different cards.
I agree. I think that...
If it was 5 rounds, I'd have both fighters on cards together. But 3, I'll have them on separate cards.
On to the main event. We have Christiana Cyborg versus Yana Kunitskaya. If you haven't liked and subscribed, you better, because you're going to make some money on this fight. Hint, as far as to what my pick is next. We have the minus 1,400.
He's got Cyborg. He makes money move.
Versus the short notice Kunitskaya fighting out of Invicta. Her last win, a decision. What is there to say? There's a short notice bout. This is just not a contender against somebody who is looking for fighters. It's just no one's willing to fight Christiana Cyborg. The people that are have to make their name in the sport. Unfortunately, it doesn't help Christiana's legacy. It makes a lot of people be like, oh, you fought a bunch of cans. Well, if no one wants to fight you, what can you do? If no one's willing to sign that contract and only scrubs are because they have the most to win out of it, yeah, they're going to take that shot. And not to say Kunitskaya is a scrub, because she can get to that championship level. She needs a few years. She does not need to be stepping in against Cyborg. Kunitskaya does. When she gets hit hard, I saw a couple fights earlier, she has good striking, okay ground awareness, doesn't really stick out on the ground, but is serviceable against Cyborg. She'll get eaten live on the ground. Striking wise, once she eats a good enough of a shot, she'll turn around and turtle up. She'll just back away. It'll be a standing TKO. Against probably the hardest hitter she's ever going to face in her life.
Didn't she beat Tanya Evinger?
Kunitskaya?
Yeah.
I believe she did, but Evinger doesn't have a... Evinger hurt her off of her back. She ended up getting that armbar. And it was... And Evinger doesn't have tons of power. And she hurt Kunitskaya. So I'm just feeling like she wanted to be in the UFC, and they're like, you want to be the main event? Anybody, if you tell me right now, will you fight Cyborg for a $20,000, $30,000, and we'll give you pay-per-view shares, I will sign that paperwork right now.
You don't get pay-per-view shares.
Oh, when you're not the champion?
Only if you have the belt.
Damn.
That was actually why I thought the UFC made the interim belts, because they knew the fighters were kind of getting screwed by not having sponsorship. So it was a way to give more fighters the opportunity at holding a little bit of pay-per-view or a little bit of money.
So did you actually hear that the Reebok pay actually had changed as of January 18th?
No.
So now the fighters were getting the...
Oh yeah, to like $5,000 or like
2.5 or 2,500. Now it's 3,500 for the first 5 fights. After that, it goes to like 4, and then after that, it's like 5.
So
but you're
just
up to 15
embarrassing
fights.
shit. Just embarrassing.
But not
low
only
numbers.
that, because Reebok gave the money to the UFC to give to the fighters. It's not Reebok, it's UFC pay, and now that pay only comes to you if you meet all of your media obligations, and you don't say anything bad on Twitter, and you make weight, and you can't wear anything but Reebok at your places. Like, they're really looking over to just be like, oh, you didn't earn that Reebok or UFC pay. That's how they're controlling fighters. So if there's a union, if Leslie Smith's hearing, keep getting at it, girl, because this is fucking bullshit.
This is bullshit.
This is fucking bullshit.
They're private contractors. Private
so
contractors. They should be able to wear whatever. They should be able to wear whatever they want.
All over their asses.
If they want to wear just condoms pinned on them like their left eye from TLC, that's allowed. Maybe not safety pins.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Maybe not safety pins inside the octagon.
If they want to have fleshlight on their thigh because they're getting $250,000 for that, that's between the fighter and that sponsor.
I don't care. The fighter.
It's crazy.
To me, a fighter should be seen exactly like a NASCAR driver.
Right.
That's it. There are a whole bunch of people that are getting together that are all privately contracted to compete inside this circle. That is the exact same thing that the UFC is doing. And the Reebok and UFC is an atrocity. Dana White knows it's an atrocity. And the fact that he's walking away with $500 million from this whole thing and still isn't standing up for these fighters, it's ludicrous to me. It's ludicrous.
100%. 100%. So...
Cyborg,
TKO round 1?
I actually think she's going to make it into round 2.
Okay, nice.
Because Cyborg's been, if you notice, even in her last few fights, she's not because she can't do it. It's almost like she wants to show us that she has all this other skill set.
I do think she's also getting ring time because you can't emulate being in the crowd.
Yeah.
So she's also prolonging it. That's a good call. That's a good call.
I mean, even if you saw her fight with Holly, a little, to me, Kanetskaya is really just one grade down from Holly Holm, and one day I think she'll be better than Holly Holm.
Agreed.
With age. I think she's actually Holly Holm's training partner right now at Jackson Wink.
I
this
love
is
that
the
game plan.
second Jackson Wink girl to be fighting Cyborg in a few months. So they could have a better game plan. That I definitely think if she is listening to her corner and she wants to be the surprise that everyone, like, she's working on her cardio, blah, 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 all this. I think Jackson Wink, what we know of them, they're going to tell her to lay back of Cyborg. And Cyborg would counter punches to that first round. So it'll be a boring first round. I think she can make it into round 2 where we're going to see Cyborg get more aggressive. As long as Cyborg doesn't get clipped with a kick, she's safe. That's the only thing I'm not worried about a submission. Cyborg has 3 belts over this girl. But a clip with a kick. This girl has those Holly Holm potential kicks. It's different than Holly's. It's a little, it's a different style kick than Holly's.
A faster flicker kick. Yeah.
So it just makes me a little nervous. But I am going to stay with Christiana Justino. Cyborg KO round 2. Put it everywhere.
For 9,700? That is unreal. That's some of the highest DraftKings prices I've ever seen. Kunitskaya being 6,500.
But what's Cyborg's average points? She's got to be over 100.
107 points is her average.
107 points.
So I think you can figure it out with some underdogs.
And I also think, though, what's happened with DraftKings is the more UFC fights we've seen, they're getting better at scoring them. And we're seeing the scores go up and up and up, which I really enjoy. I like a high score on the fighters I pick, DraftKings.
So, do we have a underdog pick? I don't think that we agreed on too many this night. That makes me really curious because when we do that, it is a funky night of fights, and there is some underdogs that do have some play in here. I feel like there's a lot of favorites that I'm going with. Yeah, now that I'm looking at the actual money lines. Apparently, minus 1,400. The line opened at minus 1,100 for Cyborg. I saw it last night at minus 1,400. That wasn't enough. It's minus 1,700.
Wow.
For Christiana Cyborg. This is all sorts of record setting.
Wow.
All sorts of record setting. So, Ortega you had,
Probably
he's an underdog. O'Malley's an underdog as well for Sohamtheth at minus 145 for Sohamtheth, plus 125.
So you just think all those guys are going to lose?
Agree. I think, I'm on the favorite side. I have Arlovsky, you have Struve, who's the favorite. I got Wow. I don't think we have a Let's
Caraway?
I actually am picking against Caraway with Stamen as the favorite.
Cat? Oh, you don't have Cat.
Exactly.
What about that girl fight before Cat's?
Dern, we both have Dern.
Duh, Dern.
Exactly.
All Dern.
So.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what we did to ourselves? Because 2 weeks in a row, we almost had double. Well, one we did have a double Leslie dog, and the other time we almost did.
Right.
And so this time, there's no Leslie Smith underdog pick.
And or wager gauger. I'm not seeing too many wager gaugers that I'm seeing, but it's kind of what happens sometimes. There's going to be, luckily, other fight cards in the year.
Look at this card. There's going to be other pay-per-views, people.
There's going to be money to be paid.
Maybe you have to save your money on DraftKings and save your money on this pay-per-view and get the next one.
So, if you haven't remembered to like and subscribe.
Yeah, make sure that you do anything. LesboandTheBean.com, at LesboandTheBean, everywhere. And I don't really mean that, UFC. If you start paying us a little Skrilla, we'll be like, you need to buy this UFC, this is shit. But we know this ain't the one. This ain't the one.
This was put together.
If this was a Fox night, it would be like the best Fox night of the year. But
right.
Best of the year.
This would outsell that Stevens
And
by
this
far.
lady
This would sell out.
on this is a good Fox person.
Yes.
Because that's all they seem to care about over there is looks. And so this is a good Fox person, and this marauder kills her. He looks like the looks as well. And then you got old school coming in, and they'll be like, that little guy, he doesn't even stand a chance. And then look at Frankie Edgar with the answers. I don't know. LesBoneTheBean.com.
Let's go to the beat!